Hey there, Trekkers and Trekkies. So, before I get started with today, and the book that we are going to be taking a look at, I want to take a minute just to shout out to my buddy Vance and his son Royce. They've been helping me out on the commercials for the builds I've been doing for the vehicles, and I appreciate them. I hope you've checked out the video that just came out on Friday of the Klingon troop transport that I did. I'm rather proud of that. And I look forward to the one we're going to be doing in a couple of months, in a month and a half or so. But today, got another book. This was probably one of my favorite books growing up. I was 13. It was Christmas 1994 that I got this actual version of the Star Trek Encyclopedia. And you can see, look at how messed up. Like the spine is, it looks so bad. But, and here's the thing, I'll flip through this a little bit. Like you can see, it's points I went in. Oh, look, I took colored pencils because everything was in black and white. And so I took colored pencils, on a few pages and added color. Now this was made Michael Okuda, Denise Okuda, and Doug Drexler, which are all names that if you watch the show, if you watch Star Trek, those three names you should know right offhand. Because they were involved in Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, all of that. And Debbie Mirek is the fourth writer who worked on this. I'm gonna set this one aside somewhere. I gotta decide where I want to put it, because we're not gonna look at the old one that's falling apart. We're gonna look at, this is actually the hardcore. This one would go to the concert and blow your mind. This is the hardcover version. The dust jacket looked the same. It was pretty basic on the hardcover. Nothing special. In fact, let me flip over. As far as, oh, and look, there's the four writers: Mike Okuda, Denise Okuda, Debbie Mirek, and Doug Drexler, with their pictures there on the inside cover. There's the back cover. There's nothing there. Nothing special about that cover. This came out, like I said, it came out in 1993. They did the hardcover and softcover version. I've always been poor, so I got the softcover version. But in this first edition, everything was in black and white. All the pictures were black and white. There's no color on any of it. Now, in later editions that they did make it in color, in full color. I had the third edition. Well, so let me tell you, the second edition came out in '96. Which meant that at that point it would cover, because see, this covers all, I think, all of Next Gen. And I think it has a few things about Star Trek Generations. Maybe. No. This ends with the end of season 6. So this didn't even cover season 7 of Next Gen, and it only has season 1 of Voyager. This is one of the good things. It's got a bunch of appendices that you can look up information. Of course, Appendix C is every episode listed in air date order, starting from original series, the Cage right here. Now, what's kind of cool is a couple of years later, I'm gonna be all over the place. Let's go back to the editions. So the second edition came out in '96. That was the first full color version. At that point, had all of next gen. I think it had about the first 3 seasons of DS9, and probably the first one, maybe 2. No, probably just the first season of Voyager was in that one. It would have had Star Trek Generations and Star Trek First Contact. In fact, I think that was one of the big selling points, was that it was coming out like right on the heels of Star Trek First Contact. So it was like you were getting fresh information kind of thing. They did a third edition in 1999. I had that. I don't know what's happened to it. I don't know if it got put in a box somewhere and it's who knows where. Watch one of y'all is going to be like, it's on the shelf right behind you. Did you forget? No, I promise it's not one of it's not that blue one right there. That's a different book that we will get to eventually. But that one was really cool because at that point it had the first 3 movies of the next gen. Of course, all of the original series. I really want to say that it had all of Deep Space Nine. Like, I think that they waited till just after the show had ended in '99 to publish the third edition. Man, I'd love to get my hands on a copy again, because I can't quite remember. Like I said, that was 1999. Now, alongside that, at the same time, in '95, they put out the Star Trek Omnipedia. They did a couple of editions of that. I want to say that the last one came out probably 2001 or 2. Don't quite remember. I had a copy of that, but it operated on old Windows systems that the computer I am currently making this video on, it could not run that. I sent it to my buddy Mike over at K&M. Oh, I have a notification somewhere. I don't know. To see if he could operate it and have some fun with it. But I'll probably never get a chance to really look at that. But, of course, it didn't really matter because, that's something I never have looked up, was the website Star Trek Memory Alpha is essentially the Star Trek Wikipedia. And I feel like I've been using it for years. I'm gonna Google it while I'm right here. Okay, let's see. Which, if you've never used Memory Alpha, you don't know what you're missing out. So, okay, so that. If I was correct about the third edition of the Omnipedia, the CD-based version coming out in 2002, that would kind of make sense because the online wiki version of Star Trek called Memory Alpha came out in December 5th of 2003. Man, that means that Memory Alpha is 20 years. I knew I felt like I've been using it for a long time. That's kind of cool. Getting way off track. Y'all don't care. This is fun for you, right? Right? I hope so. If you're watching this, I hope you're getting something out of this. So anyways, yeah, Memory Alpha. That's kind of cool. It's 20 years old. But it made sense that at that point that we migrated, the book onto the internet, and of course, it would be absolutely massive. Now, what's interesting is, and I had totally missed this, in 1996, during the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, they actually did a hardbound. It was two books. It was two books bigger than these. Star Trek Encyclopedia, and it's same group of writers, the Okudas and Drexler and all that. And I missed out on getting that when it came out. I wish I could, because now I see it online for like $300 and $400. So if one of you wants to be really awesome and send me a copy of the 2016 Star Trek Encyclopedia, I'd love that. It looks gorgeous. I've seen pictures online, and I would love to check that out. But going back to the 1994 book, so at this in 1994, there had never really been a very good layout of the chronology of events in the Star Trek universe, as far as, even original series went. It would be a couple of more years. I want to say that the first Star Trek chronology, which I do have somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I see it right there. I think that came out in 95 or 96. I don't quite remember. We'll get there eventually. So this appendix was really the first version of that, which was kind of cool. Now then, otherwise, well, I didn't mean to do that, but I did that perfectly. It had lots of these graphics like this one. Now, what's interesting is I don't know about like the later 90 or the 2016 version, but I know that the 1999 version, it was these exact same pictures like this, but in full color. Like these were, black and yellow or black and red, like the uniforms should be. And of course, it added the First Contact style uniforms with the ribbing on the shoulders. Here's another great graphic of the tricorders. And that was the thing that was just so cool. This is why my original version is so beat up. Was like, first off, I was somebody who I loved reading the novels. But because we didn't have a way other than if you had copies of the episodes on VHS, and if you don't know what a VHS is, go ask your mother. I'm having an old moment. So occasionally I'd be reading something in the novels and I'd be like, what? And so I could grab my book, look it up, find out what they're talking about. Oh, this is cool. So this is one of the first books to actually show a size comparison of not just the Enterprise ships. We've got the Constellation, the Miranda, and you saw over here, we've got a Nebula class, and of course the Ambassador, which is my favorite. I love the Ambassador. It's a pretty ship. And of course, as you can see, some of the, I think these are called articles, entries, are quite long. Like the one on Spock starts here, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. It's a page and a half. And of course now there'd be significantly more added, because was in the Abrams films, and I don't know how much of that they'd include. Oh, there's our favorite article on self-sealing stem bolts right over there. Trying to think. Here's a list of planets in Star Trek episodes, which is kind of cool. And it tells you the name of the planet, or the planet, stars, and other celestial objects. There's a description of it, and then the episode list. And like I said, 13, 14, 15-year-old me spent hours looking through this book. It was the coolest. But, oh, and by the way, I should point out that you'll see like an article here for a character. I should point this out with Spock. That next to it, it has the actor's name. And I believe in one of the appendixes, you can do a reverse lookup. I can't remember. I think they have a list. I might be mistaken. That might have been a later edition, where you could look up actors and find out which characters they had played. And one of the last things I'm going to point out that's actually kind of cool that you might not be able to tell, some of the images like this was actually early CGI 3D rendering stuff. Doug Drexler has talked a little bit about that because he had initially started learning some of that on Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. And when the Okudas came to him about working on the Encyclopedia, they used a lot of what he had learned as far as the CGI stuff goes to make some of the images. Some of them it was just reusing images from the episodes and that kind of thing. And one of the things that's actually kind of cool is that occasionally in the show, they would actually use the information in the encyclopedia. I do know of one example. There was an episode of Voyager towards like season 6 or 7 that they took like from the 1996 version of the encyclopedia, and they literally just copied the text into a file describing, it was like about Captain Janeway, which is kind of amusing. So that really is, if you get a chance to pick up any edition of the Star Trek Encyclopedia, it's worth just having it for the fun. If you manage to get a version of the 2016 version and want to send that to me, that'd be cool. Heck, I'd even take the 99 version again because I miss having that one. That one was a really cool one to have too. So that's going to be it for our look at the Star Trek Encyclopedia, a reference guide to the future. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next time. Go out and make something. If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. If you want to support me, you can find me on Patreon or go over to Zazzle for prints of my artwork, t-shirts, and other cool stuff. If you're still here, why? Do you want to jam out?